Finally, joining us will be Mr. Tony Moroni, who will be joining us when his session time comes in, and I will introduce him accordingly. I now hand over the proceedings to Dr. Raghu Prasad with his permission to begin with the initial remarks for this session.
Good morning, everybody. Professor Mallikarjunaya, Mr. Navi, and all the dignitaries who have assembled here, students and faculty members of KLE Law College, and my dear friends. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to chair this session, and I'm glad Professor Mallikarjunaya has given this opportunity to me along with Mr. Navi. So it's an overwhelming experience to me to be at this fantastic event with the ethico-legal issues on artificial intelligence and its implications. So today, the world is changing rapidly, and there is a total paradigm shift from conventional processing techniques to AI. So AI has been an advent in many areas. It includes healthcare, legal judiciary systems, marketing, sales, and also like financial technologies. So today we are going to discuss majority of the legal and ethics that one has to adhere to or follow for building a substantial and optimal AI system. So there are many aspects of ethics that needs to be followed and conformance standards that needs to be charted and drafted for Indian standards of AI guidelines. So India is now rapidly moving in terms of digitalization. So for this digital transformation, it is very much necessary for all the digital pillars of the society, ranging from lawyers, judiciary system, healthcare, equity systems, and also financial systems to be par with this change. So there are a lot of unexplored areas in this domain. For example, what sort of law that needs to be implemented for certain violations in AI, for certain consequences of non-conformance following of AI standards, and so on. So that needs to be driven, implemented, and substantialized in a large way. So I strongly believe the team that we have today with the FDPPI, then data protection, and also the privacy and regulation standards are thoroughly striving to achieve this. So I'm sure with the kind of energy and also the kind of enthusiasm that we have today, we'll definitely say that the regulations and also the law that needs to be implemented can be recommended to the government of India in terms of efficient handling of AI systems and make sure that it is followed by each and every citizen of India. So the recommendation to the government and also the policymakers, it is an important aspect here. That is why we are all gathered here to understand what sort of legal issues can come up in this journey and how best that can be addressed through suggestions and recommendations by a majority of the experts that are present here. So without taking much time, I would like to congratulate Professor Mallikarjunaya and team to organize this conference in a full-fledged manner and make sure that they have all sorts of experts gathered here in a short span of time. So I strongly believe that this is going to be a huge success going forward and also pave way for multiple such technological discussions, which will enhance our understanding, thinking, and the implementation that is necessary to have an efficient AI system, both for judiciary and also the citizens of this country. So with this, I also welcome the dignitaries who have joined online. So welcome to all the experts, all the dignitaries here. And I ensure that this is something overwhelming experience for all of us in terms of identifying what needs to be done to push this AI domain further and also help the students here to make sure that they also learn these sort of concepts in an efficient way. As the wording goes, the students of today will become the leaders of tomorrow. It is very important for each of the students who are here to go deep into this debate and understand what sort of future consequences and impact that it has in day-to-day life cycle. So with this, I congratulate all the faculty members, and students who have gathered here, and I wish this conference is a great success. Thank you all. So, hello, Professor Arun Sun. So, I would like to call upon you now to start your presentation, and I would like to wish you all the best.
Right. Thank you, sir. And first of all, very good morning to all esteemed chief guests and respected faculty members. It's a pleasure to stand before you today virtually to discuss the powerful fusion of latest technologies like artificial intelligence, blockchain, quantum computing, with the cybersecurity and cybercrime too. I must acknowledge that the vastness of this landscape is such that even 20 minutes may only scratch the surface. So I don't have anything to display. We'll just discuss a few things. Consider this conversation a starter, an invitation to delve deeper into this ever-evolving field beyond the constraints of our limited time frame. The integration of AI in cybercrime has ushered a new era of sophisticated and adaptive threats. One notable aspect is the use of machine learning algorithms by cybercriminals to analyze vast data sets and identify vulnerabilities in target systems. These AI-driven attacks can anonymously tailor their strategies based on evolving security practices, making it challenging for traditional cybersecurity defenses to keep pace. The speed of and efficiency of AI enables cybercriminals to launch more targeted and effective attacks, increasing the risk of successful breaches. And you must be knowing that yesterday there was a statement from our Honorable PM about the deepfakes, because his deepfake was created, although it was in a good light, because he was shown playing Garba with some individuals, but a deepfake is a deepfake. So AI plays a significant role. In fact, AI plays a complete role in creation of deepfake for content for fraudulent activities or any type of activity. And all these websites are free for all. It's like a bull set free. There is no regulation, nothing. Anybody can be a victim of it. You know why this deepfake came to highlight 2-3 days before? Why it was not highlighted many months back? Because a celebrity was targeted, and how many simple women were being targeted. This is not mentioned. I think this fact checkers and fake catchers, they should be made publicly available. Like Microsoft has a Microsoft Video Authenticator tool. Intel has also come out with a tool to check about the deepfakes. It should be, if websites to create deepfakes can be made available to public, why not the fact checkers and fake catchers? So deepfake add a layer of complexity to identity verification processes, raising concerns about authenticity of digital content and communications. As you know, because time is limited, I can go on and on about this impact of AI on cybersecurity, or impact of AI plus cybercrime. And other factor is the use of AI in ransomware attack, goes beyond just evasion tactics. All of us are aware of ransomware attack on AIMS last year. The whole system was crippled for a week. And sometimes I go to corporates to conduct this seminars, workshop, webinars, and they hardly know about the system of encryption and backup. Where do we stand by now? Threats are emerging daily. AI, then quantum computing, all encryption mechanisms are on stake because this quantum computing is capable of breaking any encryption. Right now, the encryption algorithms we have. And we still don't implement 2FA. And if I ask to the all esteemed gentlemen and ladies present here, how many of them have an antivirus in their smartphone? I don't think more than 5%. And this is the tragedy. This is the first line of defense. And this is a study that 76% of the malware is coming from Play Stores. Now, where is the defense? How to protect ourselves? Of course, government is doing a lot, but that lot is not sufficient. You must admit that we started late. But I really appreciate the state governments for what they are doing is, but the speed with which new threats are emerging is much more than the awareness we are spreading. So now we need to be a cyber revolutionist, cyber activist, not a cyber aware person. Whoever is aware, we should become an activist. Like, many of the banks, most of the banks, they have not implemented 2FA to their net banking. Why don't we write to RBI? Why don't we protest against it? So many such things we will see around us. There is no control on QR codes, certified QR codes. So many things can be done. So the conclusion is this: the cat and mouse game between cybersecurity professionals and AI-driven cyber criminals underscores the need for continuous innovation in defensive strategies. Threat detection and response systems are evolving to incorporate AI for more effective anomaly detection, behavior analysis, but we need to do much more. Why, about let's talk about deepfake more, that we have a provision that if we inform the social media platform on which a deepfake is uploaded, and if we inform the social media platform, it should take down that deepfake video within 36 hours. But for a viral video, that deepfake is a lifetime. 36 hours is a lifetime for a viral video, all of you know. So we are lacking somewhere that we need to plug that loophole. If AI can generate, AI can detect also. Very few companies are coming out with solution to these kind of things. They are more concentrated on creating deepfakes than catching the deepfakes. Aren't these social media platforms don't have enough data to create some mechanism to catch the deepfakes? Are they short of manpower? Are they short of technical power? Why they are not doing it? Why deepfake is not at the same time is deleted automatically when it is uploaded on the social media platform? And public can be taught to identify deepfakes. Somehow, I am not saying that perfectly they can do it, but there are some methods like slowly playing that deepfake video and you can see the frames changing. And from that, you can come to know that whether it's an original video or some deepfake video. So I will sum up my talk with this message that be a cyber revolutionist, cyber activist, and do spread this message more and more, implement this cybersecurity into at school level. I was first to introduce this concept of cybersecurity in schools books in 2014. And still it has not been accepted in schools as a full-fledged subject. There are no labs, there is not sufficient training of students and teachers to provide some cybersecurity measures which can be taught to the students. So that's it. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm here. Otherwise, it was nice being among you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Soni, for this insightful conversation on deepfake technologies and its implications on the cybercrime and so on. I have a question on how best this deepfake technology could be identified in terms of like criminal offenses that one can venture into, and what sort of recommendations do you want to make to identify deepfake materials? It could be photos or videos or some sort of data in an early stage. So do you have any recommendations to make in terms of early identification and early detection of this deepfake technology?
As all of us know that AI can be encountered with AI only. Because this generative AI, how it has been created. Like there are two AI models, one creates the thing, one tests it, the feedback goes to the first, and then again on the based on the feedback, improvements are made and they're checked by another AI model. So that's how we can create a model which can detect anti-deepfakes. Actually, I'm not here to talk how to create a model, but how to detect the things. As I mentioned that if you search the web, you will come out with tools. There are many tools like Microsoft Video Authenticator tool. Intel has come out with a tool. Facebook has come out with a tool, but these are not publicly available. These fact checks and fact catchers should be made publicly available. You know, I get many cases call from a student, sir, that video has been created or my image has been morphed. What to do now? So if I can tell them confidently, you go to this website and you can show it there, because they are afraid, although it is a deep fake, but still they are worried that what if it gets distributed on the social media or if it goes to their contact list. They should be able to test themselves. And there are some manual methods like slowly play the video, you can see the frames changing. You can concentrate on expressions, blinking of eyes, unnatural backgrounds, some of the things that should be taught to the students basically. I have come out with a book online on safety that is specifically created for students. That is a student edition. So all things are covered into this because I'm continuously among students. For the last 25 years, I've been an educator, directly communicated with principals, teachers, students. So I know their needs. So all are worried. Each and every student from 5th class to 12th class or a college student has some query which is unanswered. So we should take more seriously this cybersecurity at the school level. This is my utmost request. They just want an answer in yes or no. Sir, this app is asking for money and we are playing, we want to play the game. Should we pay the money or not? Even teachers, not parents, are able to tell them yes or no. So make them aware. So start it at the school level. So that is my recommendation. And this fact checker should be like Google Explorer fact check is there. so many fact check websites are there. People don't know about this. These kind of information should be spread to all, not just the 1930 and www.cybercrime.gov.in. I asked one student, okay, if you fraud happens, what will you do? I will call 1930. Well, let's suppose 1930 doesn't pick up the call or it is engaged. Most of the time, it comes engaged. What will you do? There's no answer. So we need to go in more depth about the awareness. It just should not stop at the learning of helpline number and the website. We need to cover the all aspects now. Earlier it was just social media platform, but now we have AI, we have IoT, we have quantum computing, we have cloud computing. So many things have come, and the teaching about a complete scenario is a must. So start at the beginners level, catch them young, train them young, and the next generation will be secure.
So
That's
thank you, Professor Soni. In addition to this, do you also believe the abundant availability of data with respect to the public and private domains, that is also one of the driving factors for more and more deep fake technologies to arise? For example, let us say if you want to now purchase certain things online, you end up giving your personal information like your name, your address, your phone number, and other PHI or personal identification numbers, which could help these sort of technologies to gain an upper edge or upper hand on these data sets, and then create more such videos which could defame your name and your presence in the society. So what is your thought on such a data exposure or availability that these hackers or the companies might have, which release this sort of videos? And the second question is on the privacy guidelines and laws. Like according to the Indian Privacy Act or the IT Act 2000, there is no stringent guidelines on privacy and data protection measures. So do you feel that this is also one of the key driving factors for more and more videos or materials that are coming up in this domain?
Yes, definitely. Actually, I don't think hackers exploit so much data as much as these social media companies do it. Luckily, in this data protection law, we have some measures which protect the PII of users, personal identified data. So it is not that we are at par with that GDPR and other stringent measures, but still we are trying. First is the localization of data. I stress on that because data should be localized. Because when it travels, you never know it is in which form it travels, where it is traveling to. Once it is out of our country, it is not in our hands. So localization of data, that is the must. And in that protection bill, we are not talking much about deepfakes. I'm saying that the severity we realized 4 days back when the deepfake of a celebrity was made public. Although it has been a threat for a long time, but is it necessary that when something happens to a celebrity, only then we become conscious? But this is true. We are talking about deepfakes for the last 3 days, for just last 3 days. So these data protection bills or any bill should be revised continuously every year. We are not short of any manpower. We have so many people who are competent enough to create this structure, to create the bill. Then why we take so many months, so many years to bring a change in the bill? Bill. So my request is, my suggestion is that the continuous change every year, there should be some changes in the bill, new norms for the social media intermediaries, and it should have consent of the public also. Like, I am not very much convinced that deep fake should stay on a social media platform for 36 hours. A viral video, it's a lifetime. That after 36 hours, you remove it or not remove it, it doesn't matter. It has spread borderlessly. I mean, it is all over the world. It is there. Why not 6 hours? Why not 3 hours? Are they not competent enough to remove it? First of all, they should have identified on the platform that it is a deepfake. They should have the technology. Why don't they have the technology? They can create one. Just because the number of users will become less, the unauthorized users will just sign off or stop using the platform if they can't upload the deepfake. We should be very strict on these intermediaries. So this is my suggestion. And as I said, if awareness is there, what is your personal data and what data can be shared, starts from the school level. We will have a generation in next few years. You will see very few data available on these public platforms. And these videos, if they know how to set the you can say watermark on the videos, upload with the low resolution. You know, only few days back, I'm in Chandigarh. Only few days back, incident happened in a school. Somebody from a school website downloaded photographs of the girls and uploaded, morphed those photographs and uploaded on a snapshot platform. And when the person was caught, he was just a student, 9th or 10th class student.
Thank you, Professor Soni, for this insightful conversation on the technologies that we need to be aware of. So in the interest of time, we'll move to the next speaker. So I invite...
Hello, may I have
Yeah.
a suggestion quickly? Thank you, Professor Soni, for a very important, touching a very important subject, which is assuming the gravest proportion in few days' time. In fact, I would suggest that there are two ways to check it, if not completely, but to a great extent. Number one is, we should have an international protocol wherein all the governments and those tech companies who are involved in AI must agree that they will stringently check, as you have rightly said, and I agree, whether technologically it is feasible or not. I'm not the right person to say that they cannot be uploaded. At the initial stage, they can be barred. The moment somebody tries to upload them and they are fake, it can be detected as we detect fake currencies. Like, it can be detected, and then preventive measure can be taken. Suppose it has been uploaded and it has been viral and circulated, then all those companies which are found engaged in that, they should be heavily penalized. And even they can be barred for some time, maybe for 6 months or maybe for 3 months from operating in that particular jurisdiction where the deep video has affected adversely. And the third thing is that we have laws. See, as a student of law for last 45 years, I understand that there is a common fashion. Even our PhD scholars also write in their suggestions, last chapter, that we should create a law, whereas the law is there. So it has become a fashion that we have a law, Indian Penal Code, where impersonation is offense, where fake documents is offense. Video is also a fake document. So we can enhance the punishment, but we can take action right now, even when there is no specific law. Right now, the police and the judiciary can take cognizance and those persons or companies who are engaged, they can be punished. And finally, the people should also be aware. See, we have we derive a pleasure in looking to the canards, in looking to the fake stories. It's a human psychology, and we quickly forward it without thinking even for a moment that can Honorable Prime Minister do these kinds of act. Let us have a short thinking. We immediately forward it, and we request that forward it to 10 people and 100 people. This has become a fashion, or a what we can say, a pleasure. We derive pleasure in doing that. So people are equally responsible. They should also be alert and think whether the video which has been uploaded, can it be a genuine video? Let us try to find it out and then forward it. So we make it viral. Who makes it viral? People, users make it viral. Thank you very much for a wonderful presentation.
Thank you, sir. All your points are very much valid, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words on this occasion. So I'll now request the next speaker to get started with the presentation.
So, good morning.
Morning.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes.
Yes, perfect. So I will start to sharing my screen. Okay, can you see? Yes?
Can see your screen. Please continue.
Okay, perfect. So, good morning, colleagues, fellow panelists, professors, students, and all the community of Clay Law College. It's an honor to participate in the International Conference on Ethical Legal Dimensions of Advanced Technologies, a Pathway to Responsible Innovation. And thank you for having me. I want to express my gratitude personally to Professor Dr. Bandari, who is the founder and the director of Galtar, and his team, who have worked this past year to build this opportunity. So I will start this presentation, and my goal is just to share a couple of different thoughts. How we can enhance ethical digital privacy in this moment that we are living with blockchain and AI. So we know that in our increased data-driven privacy has never been more crucial, and this convergence between AI and blockchain presents a groundbreaking solution to address the pressing challenges of data privacy. We can say that it's impossible, but no, we have a dynamic synergy. And this kind of synergy can offer us a path of how this technology can protect us. So in this digital age, you have a lot of new possibilities, as Dr. Bandari and my panelist, Dr. Sony, shared just. But we need to know how you will decide to use all these possibilities. And in this presentation, as a brief summary, we will touch on an overview of AI and blockchain. It's not a masterclass. It's not a lot of definitions. It's just to let's think together. The convergence and the synergy unleashed, ethical dimensions in digital privacy created by all contexts that I will propose a way, responsible data management and transparency, and we don't have conclusion. We have a closing thoughts, because as you are now in this moment here in the morning in India, we can chant our reality, thinking about new regulation, thinking about new ways to promote our daily life. How can we spread the news here in our family? So what I'm just to start off, let's look the dynamic synergy between AI and blockchain. So everybody knows that ChatGPT is one of the most tool of AI now. Everybody knows and talks about GPT, but what is this? What generative AI is? We can say that includes diverse techniques of creating content, spanning text, image, and other audiovisual elements. We can talk about learning models. We can talk about a trillion of words of very natural language tasks that's working with algorithms, but it's not the case. It's just to say that this adoption of generative AI across industries contains in this mode and in the university contains significant potential to improve customer satisfaction, productivity in our tasks. It's different tasks and jobs, and we need to see how can we add value. And it's interesting because blockchain in the second column is a data structure that makes it possible to create a temper-stamped proof distributed peer-to-peer systems of ledger containing immutable, time-stamped, cryptographically connected blocks of data. It means the first column offers us a kind of immense opportunities to identify patterns. Don't forget this word, patterns. We live with patterns. And the second one promotes blockchain security. So, which kind of synergy we can have? Combined both of them, AI is an active technology. It means that we have a lot of data. We can change this data using different algorithms. So we can say that AI is active technology and blockchain is just inactive, just control the data and survive and always auditing the data. We can say that a weakness from one, it's completely, we have a compensation with the strongest of other. So we have here a synergy. It's very important to use this moment in our favor, how we can create ways to develop our tasks. And it's different from jobs, as I told you a couple of seconds before, because it's true that we can change everything, the way that we research, the way that we create papers, the way that we analyze regulations around the world. Yes, it's true. But it can be also secure. Let's continue. Everybody knows and everybody 100% accept that data, it's essential for our lives today. It's essential, it's the basis, undeniable. So to organize this kind of synergy, organize in our heads and during the presentation, I would like to share with you this way to thinking that is VUCA, based in leadership theories that try to recognize and understand the complexity and the dynamics of our world in this moment. So VUCA, it's an acronym, VUCA, based on volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. Just to say that we are living this world with this kind of framework within the context of emerging technologies. And volatility, you can say that we have so abrupt changes all the time, economic fluctuations, technological advancements, political shifts. We know that we are living a lot of different conflicts in this moment around the world. It means that agility needs to a rapid adaptation. They are essential for our organizations, for the universities, for the next step of our strategy. Uncertainty signifies the rapid erosion. We have now a conclusion, but this conclusion has a life cycle so short in this moment because we have so many different uncertainties. And just to talk just a little bit for the 3x complexity, it means that we need to understand the challenge, the nature of problems. They are so diverse and their impacts most diverse, and the impacts interconnected. We have different scenarios, and we are talking about AI, and you talk about blockchain. And you know that we can have synergy, but we need to merge this emerging technology in this complexity word that I'm proposing to use VUCA just to open our perspective to analyze. So the ambiguity that we are living is also an uncertain information. Because of this, we have so different questions. How can I help my student to be independent using AI? How can I promote ChatGPT inside my company in the right way? How can we live in this ambiguity, complexity, volatility, and uncertainty moment that we are living? Okay, this is just a framework. Second, the other slide that I would share is the data-driven world, showing 3 pillars that is important to keep in mind. We know that we have a rapid growth of data in digital age, the increasing at the same and proportional dimension of privacy. We had a lot of experts since yesterday talking about cybersecurity, talking about how can we protect ourselves and how can we decide what you can share, what you don't share. And in this world, we can say, how can you manage our ethical problems created with a lot of freedom that we have in this moment? So it's essential in this to make this transition for ethical dimension of data privacy. Recognize that each one of us sit in India almost 10 a.m. and here in Europe, everybody can change regulations, can promote new ways to think, because it's not just open source, it's an open moment. And it's a paradigm that's changing everything around us. And in this moment with VUCA, synergies, and data-driven world, I just want to share that all ethical concerns starts on ourselves. We can change regulations, but we cannot change values. It can be just a little bit philosophical because I am a scientist. So, but it's just to share that the biggest concern is not the way that we can create the next algorithm, is the way that we promote freedom with responsibilities in different ways to live. So acknowledge the ethical dilemmas and concerns emerging in this digital age, we can say that we have a lot of risks. And I just mentioned 6 of them. Fairness and bias. We need to take care to stay fairness with a fairness objective to help identify and address intentional bias and discrimination. Because the word that I asked, don't forget, is patterns. Everything in AI, everything we can resume in patterns. So ethics and impact. How can we be sure that responsible and ethical outcomes in our age in using of AI can clearly define core values and practice? It's so important. And we are discussing this. since yesterday. Accountability and governance, of course, they have a huge impact in our lives, in our countries, in our continents. But this kind of outcomes and the impact of AI can change, but it needs to work together. Legal and regulatory, almost of them, you are lawyers, judges, professors of law. So you identify legal and regulatory obligations to promote how can you met and how can you use AI. We are immersed in an open source, monitoring and stability and transparency and explainability. The last one is to be pedagogical. It's to spread the news and to help a child to understand, to use even ChatGPT. They need to know how to use. They need to know the minimum, they need to know the parameters. They need to know the essential values to understand that it's just a tool. It's just a tool. So we have a period of pedagogical and explainability of all kind of interpretations that we can have using an information that we keep on AI. So for this, we need to be responsible for data management and transparency, doing great efforts needs to be invested in ensuring transparency. You need also steps must be taken, ensure continuous feedback loop for improvement, integrate into a given system's life cycle. Of course, good governance and the opportunity the VUCA presents of new regulations needs to be developed. And why? To ensure protect data. And embedding such a system of learning can go in some way address and rising ethical concerns. It is multiple access at the same time, working in a moment that we can choose so different paths. So it's just open to discuss. And what I would like to, it's essential that data management and the transparency. Because of this, I told that I don't have conclusions. I have final thoughts. The amount of data gives us a lot of opportunity, to be in another level of decision making. But in the other hand, we need to have a lot of responsibility. Do you remember when we were a child and our mother said, you can go, but be careful. You'll be responsible for everything you do. It's what we're living now. We are living a moment that we are in a childhood using a lot of data that we believe that we can do everything, but don't forget, AI, it's just a couple of different parameters, open source information that can translate not who we are, but the ways that you did before the same tasks, functions, propose the same questions. So, first of all, freedom of information and data needs a lot of responsibility. And to finish, it is just to say that intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. And Steve Hawkins, as you know, is a scientist, is one of the biggest of our world he can only works with his hand, eyes, and brain, and leave us this quote because it's where we're living. Yes, we can create synergy between blockchain and AI to protect ourselves. You can use in the best way, but how can we create a framework with ethical and legal environment that support a structure for a better world? thank you for your time, for your attention, and I'm open to questions and to discuss. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Joshina, for this discussion and walking us through the implications of Gen AI and its technologies. So basically, like while you use the Gen AI, I mean, different countries have different norms and regulations. According to a specific norm, like for example, let's say if you want to categorize the risks that are involved here, what sort of risk do you want?
Oh, you know, human being has the same essence since past and 100 years ago. It's the same essence. It means that if you change countries, time zones, you are living another time zone than I'm living. But we have the same, we try to find the same security, health, protection for our family, structure, stability, it's all the same. But regulations and political games can change. We can say that about regulations in AI, we have different structures that are creating in this moment, mainly universities connected with research labs and research centers to identify new ways to adapt this tool in our learning process. So these regulations depends on China. It's completely different from United States. I'm living in Europe, so here in Europe you have European Union. They accept the reality and they are creating new regulations in functions of Gen AI. We have for education you have to add, but we can create a lot of competitiveness in this moment. So regulations, it is just the reflect of the priorities of the society that we are living. It's just to say this.
Thank you, Dr. Rosina. So now I involve Mr. Tony Moroni, our next speaker, to share his insights here.
Mr. Chair, before the new speaker comes in, I just wanted to say hello to Tony Morani and also Madam Josina. Can you see me?
Great. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Hi,
good.
Tony,
okay.
And Madam Josina. This is Mallikarjunaya, the Dean of the University. While I take this opportunity to thank our Professor Bandari sir for bringing us all up together on this virtual platform, I nevertheless would like to mention we would have loved to host you in the real world. However, we appreciate Madam's efforts in waking up so early and making that presentation. And even Tony Morani also took his time out and made a special time out for us. Thank you. And I think over to the chair now before. Yeah.
Hello, good morning, Tony. MK
Good morning.
How are you? Fine?
I am very good. Delighted to be here with you. Pity I couldn't be there in person, but next time.
Yeah, next time, sure. So welcome to the conference virtually. And thank you for making it possible to participate online. Thank you. Welcome.
Right. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for the opportunity to be here to talk about generative AI. Hopefully, I don't duplicate too much of what was said earlier. But I want to talk about how are we using it in business and what are the implications of it. Now, it is a very topical area. Collins Dictionary has said AI is the top word for 2023, and Google has confirmed that generative AI is the most Googled term for 2023. But AI is not new. AI is around, give or take 70 years. So the question is, why in the last year has it become, the central point of discussion? And there's a couple of reasons for it, but primarily among it is the arrival of ChatGPT, which interestingly enough was launched on the 30th of November 2022. So just short of a year ago. Now, what ChatGPT did was it changed a couple of things for us. When they announced it, they said, we have trained a model called ChatGPT, which interacts in a conversational way. And to me, this is the big change that we are looking at. We're looking at the interface between us and technology has totally changed. I sometimes talk to my students and I say to them, the programming language of the future is going to be your spoken language. So in my case, I don't need to be a programmer. I just need to be able to use English, and I can use artificial intelligence to make anything, create anything, code anything. So it's changed the basis of interface. It has also given us a reasoning engine, which we didn't have before. Now, GTP, OpenAI, announced just under a year ago. Well, the CEO got fired 2 days ago. So it just shows you these very, high volatile markets. There can be a lot of volatility as well. So what is our take on ChatGTP? Well, ChatGTP is the #1 application at the moment. It will have very strong competition in the future, already has competition. But in most instances, we use it as a means to convert text into other text, image, video, 3D, audio interfaces. And that is the primary use that most people have today. Although in recent months, we have seen a proliferation of offerings where we can take voice and turn that into images. We can take images, and there are people, as you know, on connecting our brains to the internet so we can, just think about things. It will happen. Well, what it has done, and I think the last speaker was touching on this, is it has brought to the forefront the whole question of regulation and ethics. And my view on this is twofold. One is in terms of regulation. I think we're in an uncertain territory. I think the European Union certainly is in a pro-protect consumer rights. I think the US is doing what it normally does. It's dealing with the lobby and the big incumbents, them the regulation they want. UK has indicated that it's going to take a regulation light approach, and then other parts of the world, including India, they're coming up with their own policies. So I think we're in a period of uncertainty in terms of where the regulation will go. But what we're not uncertain about is the ethics of it all, because it is our responsibility as individuals and as businesses to make sure that we have responsible and ethical use of AI. And I can see the court cases in the future where people are saying they didn't realize the technology did that. And as we all know, that will not be acceptable. So I think the big issue now is around figuring out how do we use these tools in a responsible and ethical way. Bill Gates made a comment there about ChatGTP. He said in his lifetime, he's seen 2 demonstrations of technology that struck him as revolutionary. The first was in 1980 when we introduced a graphical user interface. And the second was when ChatGTP answered 59 of 60 questions on a bio exam and got 59 out of 60 right. Now, we know these tools have passed bar exams. We know they've passed MBA exams. We know they are diagnosing medical images better than doctors. So the tools are very strong. To Bill Gates' point, though, I've already touched on this, the user interface has changed. And what we need to recognize is that anyone with access to the internet anywhere in the world can use these tools. All you need is access to the internet. So it is no surprise, therefore, that within 2 months, ChatGTP had 100 million users. As of today, I think there's about 1.5 billion logins to ChatGTP every single month. So people are using these tools. They are freely available in a lot of instances, but the key is they are so accessible to absolutely everyone. In terms of productivity, MIT and NVIDIA looked at this and they said, look, the internet added 10% productivity, steam power 25%, electricity 35%, but they believe artificial intelligence will add 50% to productivity. Now, I think productivity is great. I think it misses the point, though, because productivity is something, it's like electricity. So we will all use the productivity aspects of artificial intelligence. So there will be no competitive disadvantage. There will be no competitive advantage, but you will be disadvantaged if you do not use artificial intelligence to gain productivity. The real gain is going to come from game-changing activities where we're now using the creation capabilities of these tools to create new value that didn't exist before, or to orchestrate value in a way that we were not able to do so. And when McKinsey's looked at this, they said, look, the new generative AI cases, they'll probably add somewhere in the order of 2.4 to 4.4 trillion to the global economy. And when you put all of AI together, the total value will be in the order of 17 to 25.6 trillion dollars. So we're looking at a huge uplift in terms of value and profitability right across the board. We already know that employees are saying they can do more, so that in the case of and I don't think this point is very important. In the case of the UK, 5 million people have said they are using generative AI tools at work. What the report didn't say was how many of their employers knew they were using generative AI tools at work. But that's a challenge, and I think it's something that we need to get our arms around. But in terms of application, 55% said they had the tools that could save them between 1 and 5 hours per week. And 67% said it let them take on additional work that they wouldn't have the capacity to do otherwise. And 65% say that generative AI now is essential to manage their workloads. And this is where Microsoft, with its Copilot, intends to go, where in their worlds, they see us all having a virtual assistant that will help us to plan and organize and manage our day. In terms of application, a lot of the application is clearly at the front end, marketing, communications, conversation, etc. And there's reasons for that, because it's less technical in many cases. So if you need to you need to create something, you need to write something, you need to create imagery, create content. These tools are absolutely fantastic. What I must stress though is you have human oversight and you must have domain expertise. And I'm sure all of you had studied the case in the US where the lawyer went in with precedent cases that ChatGPT basically invented. So I would say is, look, the tools are fantastic. They can give us a lot of benefit. But if we don't have the domain expertise, we run a big risk. So we need to be able to sort of say, yeah, does that feel right? Or based on my knowledge, that doesn't feel right. We need to double check this, or we need to look at it again. So you cannot get away from the fact that we need domain expertise and we need human oversight. What concerns me though is that in most cases, when I talk to companies and do presentations to groups, and I put up a question around how many companies have policies in place for the use of generative AI tools, not many do. And there's clearly a gap between, where organizations are. And at a simplistic level, is artificial intelligence on the risk register? Is it in their company policies and procedures? Have they told their employees what is acceptable? And look, at its most basic level, employees should be told that, no customer information or no company proprietary information should be put into a learning model. Because if you take your data and put it into ChatGPT or any of these models, it is now part of the learning model and is no longer proprietary. I would stress that every organization needs to deal at a very minimum with how people can, or what people can put into any of these tools. And in case you think that's fine, Tony, but it's not real, here's what's happening. Within a year, we are going to have every single major technology platform offering generative AI tools on demand via every device that they are connected. So we will all have a multitude of generative AI tool providers on our mobile phones, on our laptops, on our iPads. So even if they're sitting outside your company firewall, someone can use their mobile phone to put in information to get answers to things which may compromise the integrity of the organization. Within this one, I suppose what is particularly interesting is Bard, Google, because Google, as you will know, is in the middle of an antitrust case in the US where they're defending why they spend such huge amounts of money with Apple and Samsung to be the default engine on the premise that they are the most mapped company on the internet. The question is, well, why do you pay the money? They're not going to let ChatGTP take away a revenue model. So I would say if you watch all of these, watch Google and how much they will be prepared to spend to make sure that they come out the right side of this. It remains to be seen what will happen with ChatGTP. We know Apple is coming in, so they will have 1 billion users overnight as soon as they launch, but they will also encourage app providers to use the platform to give us new capabilities. Twitter is coming on board, or X as they now call it, Samsung, Amazon, and others there, including Claude. So, don't think that every single employee in the world is not going to have access to these tools. They will have. In terms of impact on businesses, financial services and fintech is seen as the #1 impacted by Citibank. And that makes sense in that, if you think about financial services, what is it? It is the orchestration of data to manage risk and return. So artificial intelligence is already proving that it can manage data far better and far more proficiently than humans. And we're going to see, a proliferation of uses in financials, in consumers, in healthcare, in industry, right through every sector of the economy. It is already interesting to see, how firms, simple examples such as retail, how they are now using it to help customers, do their shopping, find the right things in the store, find the ingredients for a menu, etc. This is becoming, more and more commonplace in our daily life. There are, however, a couple of barriers to adoption, and the last speaker would have touched on this quite a bit, in terms of outcomes. And look, what I would say to you is, we're not all expected to be able to write algorithms. We don't need to be able to write algorithms. What we need to be able to do is to understand what outcomes the algorithms are driving in our business, and to be able to say, is this a good outcome or is this something that is not a good outcome? So we need to focus on, well, what actually is it driving by way of an outcome for our customers and our stakeholders and employees? Transparency of the models. I run a program I run with the Irish Management Institute. We run an ethical dilemma where we basically take an insurance company that has deployed a black box to price certain risks, and the black box is creating returns that no one can understand. Now, it is interesting when you run an ethical dilemma to see where people's minds are in terms of, well, if there's no proof, do we keep going? Or no, actually, there's something that we don't understand. Do we stop or do we do both? So I think there's a question mark there in terms of, do we actually understand what the models are doing? And then a key one for me also is, the model is, it's an inference model in many respects. So, if A plus B plus C, then it must be D. So Mary had a little lamb, right? But maybe it's driving, or producing outputs that are totally inconsistent with your brand because it wasn't written for your brand. So that's something that we need to take account of. There are a few things that are clear, though, is that, our monopoly as, the creators is over, because the technology can create just as effectively. In fact, can probably create, in some respects, better than humans because it doesn't have the limitations of humans. We all have limitations, right? We're all biased in our own way, right? These generative AI tools, they can look at absolutely everything and sort of say, well, based on all of that, let's pull it back. Here's what we can create. Now, we have to be conscious that in looking at everything, it's also looking at a lot of stuff that is biased and corrupt as well. So, but the main point is that we are no longer just the sole creators. Technology is also going to be the creator. And that goes back to the point I made earlier, that you got everyday use and you're going to have game-changing use. And this is where this is at. And we've already seen that, we've had ChatGTP 3, we've ChatGTP 4, we're 4.5, we will get ChatGTP 5 and 6, and we will also get a proliferation of other tools. So the real question that we need to be thinking about is, not whether creative AI will replace human workers, but how human workers will adapt and collaborate with creative AI to create value and innovation. There are a few rules of thumb on this. If creative AI or AI can do what you do, well, you need a new role. If it can do more than 50% of what you can do, you need to rethink your role. So I think we need to look at, every role in our organization and sort of say, well, how are these tools going to impact? How will they improve productivity? And importantly, how can they help us to create new value? And how then do we train our employees and train ourselves, and for that matter, how do we train ourselves that we are more comfortable and not threatened by these tools? But we can see that, in the right environment with the right, guardrails, that these tools can be hugely beneficial to our business. As with every disruptive technology, and I think the last speaker said it too, generative AI is just a tool. It is nothing else. And, so I would say that for business leaders and their advisors, the most important thing to do is to think about leadership. It is a tool, and of course we need to get the tools right. We need to implement them right. But really it's around, how does the organization embrace them? How do we make them part of the fabric of the organization? How do we make sure that we can utilize them in an ethical and responsible way to create value for our customers and our stakeholders? And how do we make sure that, we're happy with the outcomes that are being driven? Because when you're in this space, this isn't a case of, we had one employee who did something that impacted negatively on, 100 customers. This impacts all of your customers, because if you do something using these tools and it's on your platform, you could wake up to find out all of your customers have been negatively impacted and you were not even aware of it. So I would say, look, the real challenge here is leadership, not the technology. The technology will do whatever we want it to do, but that's not the challenge. The challenge is, how do we as businesses embrace it and use it and make sure that we are happy with how it has been used and the way it has been used in our organizations. So that's a quick whirlwind tour. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Tony, for this discussion on Gen AI and its technologies, and also the various tools that you have discussed. So I also want to understand how best this is validated, because like most of these tools remain unregulated and unvalidated in a few use cases. Like, for example, ChatGPT is developed on the information that is available in the West. But if you want to adapt the technology to countries in Asian and Asia Pacific subcontinents, you require a totally new responses, and the validation also creates a lot of impact here. So what are your comments and thoughts on the validation of these tools to like make this regularized in the market?
So I was down in Dubai there recently, and there was a launch of the first Arabic speaking large language model, which was dedicated to the Arab world. And I think what we'll see is there will be large language models which will be, jurisdiction specific. India being one of them, because it's such a big country with such a huge population. I totally get what you're saying in terms of, look, we don't want large language models that are just based on the United States. Right? We want large language models that work and are appropriate to our world that we live in and that we work in, and where we have customers and we do business. So I would say that, ultimately where we need to get to is that the large language models are specific enough to the area of the world that you work in, but then are customized to reflect the reality of your world, your business, your type of organization, so that when it's doing things and generating ideas or generating responses or whatever, that it's in context, because you do not want to have large language models that are out of context. And equally, you want to make sure that it is being trained sufficiently that it's giving the right outcomes, because we're all aware of the hallucinations. And look, as humans, we hallucinate in our own way. So we look at something, we sort of say, well, if that happened and that happened, it must be this, right? Well, computers do that at scale, and they do it much more faster. So I would say that, look, India is a huge country. India needs to have large language models that are appropriate to India, that understand the nuances of the culture, of the society, of organizations, and that businesses and business leaders can feel confident is appropriate and relevant to the market they are operating in. And then that clearly needs to be supported by regulation. And regulation, in my experience, tends to come about as a consequence of failure. I would say the onus is on companies to get ahead of the regulation and make sure that, from a responsible use and ethical basis, that they are comfortable with what they are doing and how they are using these technologies.
Thank you, Mr. Tony. So any questions from the audience, students specifically?
The opportunity to interact with the international expert. Come forward.
So I would encourage the students to ask questions. Okay, if there are no questions, in the interest of time, I would like to congratulate all the speakers who have given this enormous amount of information on ChatGPT, GenAI, and its driving factors towards ethico-legal considerations. So I thank all the speakers and wish all the best for the subsequent sessions. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can I make a comment?
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Tony, for wonderful and highly informative session. I just want to say on a lighter side, because we have been discussing AI, deep fakes, ChatGPT, and the possible threats which are associated with AI applications. So I am reminded of what Mark Twain said about USA. I think you know it. It was wonderful to discover America, but it would have been more wonderful to miss it. So I think it was wonderful to innovate AI, but more wonderful to miss it. What's your comment? Just on the lighter side.
Well, you know, to say you can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. So I say, get your surfboard.
Once again, I would like to thank all of the speakers for their wonderful information that they shared with us. For the sake of the audience, as well as for the sake of the other speakers, I'd like to give a brief introduction to Mr. Tony before we move on to the rest of the session. Mr. Tony is the Program Director for Digital Leadership at the Irish Management Institute. Mr. Tony is the principal of the Digital Explorer, a specialist advisory firm, as well as the founder and managing director of Saburai Consulting, a boutique financial services and fintech advisory firm. Academically, Mr. Maroney is a sought-after authority lending his expertise to institutions such as the IMI, Saito Business School, Munster Technology University, and the Cork University Business School. He also represents Ireland as the senator at the World Business Angels Investment Forum, a G20 partner for financial inclusion initiative, and is on the board of the WBAF World Smart Cities Economic Development Commission and a member of the Global Science Technology Innovation Committee. Once again, it is an honor to have you with us here today, sir. I now call upon our student, Rahmat, to provide the vote of thanks.
A very good morning to one and all present here. It's my privilege to extend vote of thanks for the plenary session 3. My sincere thanks to the chair of the session 3, Dr. Raghu Prasad, sir. Thank you, sir. I also extend my heartfelt thanks to the speakers who have joined us virtually and also for sharing their insightful thoughts. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
So thank you all for this knowledge sharing session across all domains of AI and the ChatGPT and the generative AI. So I would like to also understand the implications of this talk going forward and how best this could be a tool to make sure that our legal judiciary system can use this for any of the subsequent activities that come in the legal domain. So there are a lot of work and a lot of activities that needs to be done to regularize, modulate, and use this tool as an opportunity both in legal systems and also in non-legal systems. So going forward, I am sure that with the combined efforts of the data protection, the privacy laws, and the technology assistance that we have today, this would be a great success, and we will see a revolution in this domain and make sure that we use this tool in a right spirit and in the right format. So with this, I would like to thank all the speakers, all the audience present here for attending this session and asking questions relevant to the domain and also keeping the speakers engaged. So all the dignitaries on the dais, students, and all my fellow members, I wish you all the best for making sure that you conduct such conferences in near future and pave way for these advancements by sharing this knowledge to all the audiences. So thank you all.